What's going down, real estate roundup, homies?
What's
What's
up,
going
Chris?
down? Clarence Harris. What up, my friend?
Not too much. How are you doing
Man,
this
I'm on top of the
Chris?
world, brother. On top of the world, man. It is so exciting to see you.
Awesome.
Very rarely do I see you a lot. Like
I'm
you see
excited
you
to be
more, but
here.
yeah, I'm glad the money rolls in. As long as the money's rolling, we're good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, guys, we're here tonight talking about travel nurse, Airbnb, short-term rentals. You have made it. Congratulate yourself. You could be doing anything, eating dinner, whatever you want to do, but you're sacrificing your time to be right here with us, hanging out, talking about business and how we can help you raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. So we're opening up right now the early registration. We'll get into all this stuff, but I want to introduce you to my friend Clarence Harris. He's a CPA in the local Hampton Roads area. He's been doing real estate for quite some time. He does fix and flips, long-term holds, short-term rentals, so many things, multifaceted amongst other things. You teach too, don't you, Clarence? You teach stuff too?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I teach accounting at Norfolk State University. I've also taught entrepreneurship and accounting at a couple other universities as well.
You're a busy man.
Yes,
So
sir.
Clarence Harris, y'all give a thumbs up for Clarence Harris. Good evening, my brother.
Good evening, sir. I'm glad to be here. What is going on, Real Estate Roundup? Happy to see everybody that's going to be tuning in this evening.
Yeah,
Hopefully
man.
we can share some good nuggets.
Yep. So, Clarence, real quick, did you have an interesting day while people are logging on? We got 30 people here now. Anything interesting happened today?
I think some interesting things happen a lot of days. Today was probably more of a calmer day for me because I wasn't out in the field looking at a lot of properties. I really was behind the computer working on tax returns and doing some financial projections for a couple other real estate investors.
Oh, okay.
So, yes,
That was
sir.
interesting.
Yeah, so the one project I'm working on, someone is getting funding and working with the city for a mixed use complex that's going to have various apartment units in addition to commercial space. So it's going to be a very fabulous project once it's all completed. So helping build out her 3-year forecast.
Wow. Wow, that's deep stuff. Forecasting. That's a skill that you got to develop over time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. And to the extent that you don't have that skill, there's still hope. Just leverage other people who have that skill and collaborate.
Strategic alliances. That's exactly what we're doing here. That's actually how Clarence and I came together. Strategic alliances, y'all. You got to figure this thing out. You cannot do it on your own. Collective financing. Okay. That's something that our people lack. We don't necessarily know how to work together, but we're trying to break that myth and just deploy it. And you see how we do it, and maybe you can adapt it to some of your business too.
Absolutely.
So, I got to thank Karen Stevens. Thank you so much for your following and for your love offering. We appreciate you. It allows us to keep bringing people on like Clarence to share the good word of financial literacy, basically. So, Clarence, tell us, just give us a little bit of your background before we get into this crazy short-term rental thing. I know it's been lucrative for you. Hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, I'm local here in the Hampton Roads area. Went to Norfolk State University, played in the band there. Spent 10 years in corporate America in a large international shipping company that operates in the maritime industry. I worked in their finance and accounting department. After 10 years, I said, you know what? I have to fire my job, and I wanted to pursue my own entrepreneurial ambitions, and that's exactly what I did. A couple of years later, we formed a local CPA firm. Even during that period of time, I had already started to become more active in real estate investing. Now I was doing some traditional long-term holds with traditional long-term tenants. I've had some horror stories about that.
I was going to say, how'd that work out? How'd that work out for you?
In some cases, it was good, and then I'm gonna be very transparent with you. I did lose some money in some things, which I think that has made me stronger. And a good friend of mine said, there is no testimony without the test.
That's true.
So, you got to build those muscles, and you really don't fail until you just quit. You
That is
keep
true
going,
too.
and you learn from some of the temporary setbacks. But anyways, so started my own local CPA firm with another partner of mine. Her name is Dr. Janice Rogers, and actually she is the primary person that kind of pushed me to go into the short-term rental business, because she kept saying, Clarence, you got to check this out. And this is another CPA telling me I need to consider this as another business income stream. And so that's exactly what I did in 2019. We got started. Outside of that, I also serve on a board member of Hampton Roads Regional Black Chamber of Commerce called Black Brand. So
Sweet. Thank you so much for your service, brother. I wanted just to give a shout out to all the teachers out there too, Clarence, as we go through this craziness out here in Newport News. That kid shot that teacher, man. My heart goes out. I just gotta let
yeah,
everybody know. It's crazy, brother.
yeah, and one thing I gotta say is, again, shout out to all the teachers, but teaching in grade school, I had a short experience teaching long-term substitute for 2 middle school band programs. And I think I spent 3 to 4 months in 2 schools in Norfolk. And I got to tell you, teaching in grade schools, out of all the things I've done in my adult life, that was the most strenuous. It required the most energy. And so just walking away from that, I can say that teachers are underpaid. And they do a very vital job in our community. So
I do.
Yes, sir.
One of my friends told me that our education system should be the top priority for the National Security Administration. I mean, that is like the number, And when she said that to me, I'm like, you know what, dude, that is so true. NSA need to be on this.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I was having lunch last week with a former teacher, and she's taught in some of the lower income areas, and I actually believe that the teachers that teach in those sectors, they actually should have increased pay because they have more challenges that they have to face. But so shout out to all the teachers, and
we love you.
Appreciate what you're doing.
Man, we thank you, teachers. I'm just like all my babies at school every day. I just thank you guys, man. Thank you so much for what you're doing, sacrificing for our kids. Wow. All right, so Clarence, we're talking about short-term rentals, travel nurses, Airbnb, VBAR, RBO, all that craziness. We heard how you got into it. So this, you got some slides here. Tell us about the good, bad, the ugly. How does this all kind of work? And we're opening up registration, y'all. Anybody that's super busy, you can go to the link in the video description for a 2-day workshop. But we're gonna go over all that stuff tonight. So Clarence is gonna pull back the curtain for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the great benefits, I'm gonna just jump into some of the benefits, is it's a business that you can get into with a reasonable, you don't have to have a lot of capital. And believe it or not, and I know Chris, but for some of the viewers that are actually looking at, you can actually get in this business and you don't necessarily have to own the property.
That's what I love, dude. I mean, that is amazing. Break that down, Clarence.
Yeah, so we use a concept, we call it rental arbitrage. So I'll use, for an example, I'm gonna use me and you, Chris. So Chris, you may have a property, you may not want to manage the property or deal with anyone, and I might come to you, Chris, and say, hey, Chris, you know what? I provide fully furnished accommodations, and let's do an arrangement where we collaborate together. I'm going to have guests that are going to be staying in a property maybe 2 weeks at a time, 30 days at a time, 2 months at a time. Just kind of depends on what your model is. And you tell me what fixed rent you want. And to the extent that I can afford to pay you that, I'll pay you that. You know what? I'm going to take care of all the little minor repairs, so you're not going to get the call that you need to go fix the toilet in the middle of the night. I'm going to handle that on my end. And So I got that agreement with you. It makes sense with you. You kind of look at what I'm already doing. It makes sense with you. Then we form this agreement. And then so I pay you your money. And then I turn around and rent it to whether it's traveling contractors. Um, right now, I got a couple of contracts with different companies that are working in town for a limited period of time. And so I have one of my clients, they just extended for another month. I have one other client, she booked 2 houses for a month apiece and probably going to continue to extend and want to pick up some other inventory from me.
Wow.
So yeah, these things exist. So and none of these properties I actually own.
Holy cow, I love it. I just want people to understand that we are doing this, right? I mean, you do it more than
Yeah,
me. When I think about myself, I'm like, I'm a peanut. But he does this, Clarence does this every day. And I want you guys to know you do not have to own the real estate, but you do have to have some knowledge, though.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm excited to be able to partner with you and bring this workshop to everybody. And we're going to talk about the different benefits of being in the business, how you can scale the business, how you can earn money without owning the property. And then there are some folks, one of my other clients, she says, "Hey, Clarence, I want to get into the business, but I want to own the property." Great, you can do that too.
So you can do it either way.
You can do it either way. You can own the property, you can not own the property. And
Wow.
yeah, and typically why the business model works is, and I think we may have talked about this before, you can, if you have a fully furnished accommodation, everything, so all the furniture is in there, TVs is in there, the utilities are provided, the Wi-Fi is provided. It's like the difference between going to the grocery store, picking up a steak, or, as I mentioned before, going to Ruth Chris or going to Outback, and the meal is already prepared. Because the meal is already prepared, we can charge a premium for that. You don't have to do the work, right?
I love it.
And so,
go ahead. I'm gonna hit my light. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's really no difference, folks. You can, in the short term and the midterm rental business game, you can earn more money because you're providing a value add. What that value add is a fully prepared house versus a traditional model. It's an empty house. They got to go invest their time, their money to furnish and stage everything. Like, no, you can literally say, "Hey, I want to, Clarence or Mr. Host, I want to go in today." Great, here you are. Boom. You're in there. You can be comfortable. So that's why you can earn more money with these type of properties.
I love it, man. Clarence, I always wanted to ask you, why in the world would a landlord let you do what you do? I mean, no doubt we've done deals, but why do landlords rent you these houses where they could just do it on their own? They could go put a short-term tenant in there.
They absolutely could, but there's the but. They may not want to do it. They may not want to spend the time to do it. They may have other things that they're more interested in doing. They may truly want to be passive, right? They may want a tenant. They may have had some trauma with tenants who may have left their house in a less than favorable condition. In this business, how we make money is to keep the properties in pristine condition. So we have as a host, I have a built-in incentivization, if that's the word, to keep your property in great condition, because that's how I make the most money.
So it benefits you to keep. Okay, so it's almost like you don't make money. The landlord isn't going to make money unless you make money,
right?
So you would do whatever it takes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's sharp. This business model is just crazy, yo. I mean, before the internet and the social media thing, you just couldn't do this stuff.
Yeah.
You got anything you
So,
want to go over on your spreadsheet here, or you want to keep going?
oh yeah. And here's for everybody that attends the workshop. So we already talked about some. We'll discuss some of the benefits of being in the short-term rental business, but then we're gonna go through some other topics. One of the topics I have is business setup and administration.
When we
So
bring this, do I open up to bring the slideshow?
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
my bad. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
So, and I got this on a Excel sheet, but business setup and administration. And so this is for the folks who maybe you don't know how to set up a business, where to start, who are the advisors that you need. We're going to go through how to go from not having a business to setting up your business. Who do you need to talk to? What are the things that you need to consider? So we're talking about the different advisors you need to have as a beginning business owner, entrepreneur. That we'll talk about different entity structures that are available to you, because some structures are not advisable, just depending on what you're looking to do. We'll talk about the various permits, business license that may be applicable depending on which jurisdiction that you're in, setting up separate business bank accounts. We'll talk about how credit, you can use that and leverage that to help scale your business, having the proper insurance, risk mitigation, and record keeping, having the proper record keeping so you know exactly what you're doing in your business, which also helps to facilitate funding when you have to go to, whether it's private money lenders, bankers, other investors. You got to be able to show, hey, what's the financial picture of what's going on. So we'll spend some time talking about that, and I think that's very critical to go into that. After that, the next section I call it analyzing and acquisition. So we set up our business entity. Now we're ready to start looking at some property. So how do we make a decision on whether we want to invest in whatever property it is? So we'll talk about how we run the numbers to see what the potential rental or revenue value of a property is versus what we believe our expenses are going to be. We'll talk about, hey, how much money do we need to have up front to get this started? Because when you do get into the business, you are going to have to furnish the property. There's some things that you might have to work out with the property owner if you're going to do the rental arbitrage model as well. And then how do you actually get the word out on, hey, I have a property. So there's the various booking channels. Some folks know, a lot of folks know Airbnb, but there are other booking channels, and some are more specific to different sectors. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And so once you have set up your business, you've ran the numbers, you identified that, hey, this deal makes sense. We put it on our booking channels. Now, you set up the property, and the things that go along with that. And then after you set up the property, then going live, and then the ongoing upkeep of what it takes to make that property spit cash flow to you every month.
That's good stuff, y'all. So listen, y'all, we're going to keep going here, but people that are, I know if anybody's like me, they get antsy. So in the video description below, the super early bird registration is open right now. It's in the video description. You can get started. That's only the super early bird registration will be good for 1 day, right? After that, the price changes. But I love to reward action takers, people that are willing to say, listen, I'm sacrificing my hard-earned money. We're going to bring you value. Promise I won't let you down. I haven't in many, many years. So get signed up now, and but I'm going to keep going with Clarence.
Yeah.
Clarence, I want to ask you about cleaning. I know some people think, well, some people are like, how does it get clean every day? Are you going to clean these things? I mean, that's not scalable. Tell me about that whole process for people that are just interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it really depends on you as the business owner. How much time do you want to invest in the business? How many units do you want to have? Now, you can have some folks who, hey, you know what? I want to have 1 or 2 units.
Okay.
And I just enjoy coming in and cleaning. Great. You can do that. Then you got some folks who say, hey, I don't want to do any cleaning. And it's not worth my time to go in there and clean. And I want to scale. And I know we can't scale if everything is about me. So can you do it both ways? Absolutely. And so we'll discuss, hey, if you want to be I want to be the self-employed person that is going to go right in there and do everything. Hey, we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about, you know what, I want to be more hands-off. What are some of the things you need to consider so you can be more hands-off and still have the thing to scale the way that you want it to. And
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Clarence.
Yeah, and another thing that I think will be very useful, and even if you're already in the business, what I think is also going to be very useful for the folks that are already in the business doing this, you might know how to operate the business, but my background as a CPA, taxes, and accounting, I can give you that piece that maybe you are not getting as it relates to your bookkeeping, your tax strategies related to this business, because one, not only am I a CPA, but I actually do the business too. So there's a value in that alone.
Very rare. Very rare. I can imagine your days. Ciarino's Pizza wants to know, can they cash out, refinance an Airbnb that's 12 units in one building? I don't know, Clarence.
So, that really is going to depend on the lender. You know, different lender. There are some lenders who will do a cash out and refinance, and this would assume you're not doing rental arbitrage, that you actually own the building.
Yeah, they're gonna have to own it for that.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, Chris?
I haven't ever financed a commercial unit. This is definitely going to fall under the umbrella of commercial because it's more than 4.
Right.
Other question, then we'll keep moving. Somebody's been wondering that for a while. Hey, good to see you guys. Jamar, how much capital do I need to get started with short-term rentals? Clarence, that's a great question, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that is going to depend on, assuming we're talking about straight rental arbitrage where you don't own the property, part of that's going to depend on the size of the property you want to invest in. Is it a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom? The more bedrooms, it's going to require more money because you're going to have more things to put inside the property. But we definitely will go over all of those. I got staging budgets for different house or property sizes. So, I'll be able to provide that and share that with you as well. And one gauge you can look at is, hey, look at your house and gauge how much did you have to pay for all the furniture in your house. That'll give you a rough estimation right there.
Mm-hmm. And is it the same stuff, Clarence? You don't have to change it per tenant. Like if you got a month-long tenant or a week tenant, it's the same stuff in there, correct?
For the most part, and that goes back to what is going to be your strategy. Some folks are very short-term, meaning, hey, I'm okay with having 3 to 4 day stays, where some folks say, hey, look, I want folks that are going to stay here a minimum of 30 to 60 days. Now, a person that stays 60 days, they may want to have different amenities than a person that's only going to stay there 3 days. For example, the person that's staying there a longer time period, they generally want a more robust kitchen amenities so they can cook and do everything like that. But if somebody's just staying there a couple of days, they may not require as much. So that also plays a factor.
I got you. Okay. That's a good question there. It's a good question. Jamar said somebody told him it cost up to 22,000, up to 22 to 15,000 just to get started.
Yeah, I've gotten started with an amount lower than that, but again, it depends on what your property is. So, and what jurisdiction that you're in. So Depending on the size of the property, it could be anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000.
But still, in my opinion, obviously I've been doing real estate forever. Everything, if I own the property, let's talk about the benefits. Because I'm like, when something breaks, Clarence, who's on the hook? I feel like if I'm renting it from you, how do you kind of walk that line?
Yeah, part of that is going to be facilitated by what is your actual agreement with the property owner. Typically, if it's really driven by what's your agreement. I know what I usually like to do is say, hey, for certain repairs that are under a certain threshold, I'm gonna take care of those. Some of the major repairs, you own the property, Mr. Landlord, I would like you to take care of those items. And it can be negotiable.
But I'm just still like, Clarence, what other business can you run anywhere? Where some of the repairs and even the large stuff can be passed on to a third party. I mean, I don't even know where that can be done.
Yeah. And the other thing that you can do, and we'll kind of talk about this, is whether you're utilizing certain insurances or certain warranties. And so that mitigates some of the exposure that you have. So we're definitely covered.
Oh, wow. I haven't thought about that. You talking about possibly
as well.
getting home warranty of your own on the property as well?
Possibly.
Wow.
Possibly. Well, think about it. For example,
Right,
I mean, yeah, like, look, if me and you, Chris, we come up to an agreement, and I say that I'm going to handle certain repairs under a certain threshold, and let's just say the water heater gives out. That's easily a $1,200 expense, which I could, and maybe that would be on you. But if I got a warranty and I can just take care of it, you're going to like me better. You're probably going to want to do more business with me.
That's right. That is so cool. So look at y'all once again, smash that like button down there. Just for that's a nugget right there that's worth just hanging out with us tonight. Wow. I haven't thought about that.
Yes, sir.
So look, guys, we're gonna keep going here, but a super early registration is open right now in the video description below. We have a 2-day virtual workshop where Clarence is gonna break down his entire short-term rental business. The guy does stuff with me, I do stuff with him. We got properties together, so I know this works. And I'm not necessarily in the business of buying a lot of real estate now for whole because it's so volatile, and you don't even have to buy it. That's why I'm leaning towards this strategy. We don't know where real estate. Well, Clarence, you've been in the game, man. I mean, what's your crystal ball saying?
You know what? You're putting me on the spot with that one. I think in general, over a longer period of times, generally, real estate usually is going to go up. Now, in a shorter period of times, there's different fluctuations that could potentially happen, but I generally like to be attached to real estate in general. They're not making any more land, and even if you're not in a position to buy right now, you can still use this business to still make a good income stream for yourself.
Yeah, cash flow, y'all. Cash flow. Right is asking, why is Airbnb getting a bad rap when it comes to city planning? Good question there. Right.
Yeah. Some of what I think is, there's always, what did they say, the rotten apples in the bushel, if you will. Sometimes there are a lot of operators who do a fantastic job, and then there's some folks who are out there and they don't really care, and some folks may have properties where they allow these ratchet parties. They don't police it. It causes neighbor disturbances. The neighbors complain to city council. So I would definitely say, if you're going to get in this business, one, you got to be responsible. You got to know how to keep disturbances away from the neighborhood and the community, and that has to be one of your high priorities as well. So that's one of the things I would speculate why, the word Airbnb may be a dirty word.
So Clarence has all type of little tricks and goodies and tips and secrets. One of which can I just mention one about how you have I never seen that before, like a solar panel. This guy comes and has these solar. I'm like, how do you know this? I mean, there's little things that you would think about, and you were deploying this stuff because batteries go out, and you don't want to be going back changing batteries on stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so I definitely, I have security cameras, and some of the cameras have a battery, but then I attach a solar panel to it, so it just keeps going.
Guys, that's one nugget. That's just one nugget Clarence will share with us. Get registered up in the video description below. The Super Early Bird registration is open right now. It will be for people that are willing to take action now. Super Early Bird special. Not even Early Bird. This is Super Early Bird. It will go away in a day. I'm only giving a day for that. Thank you so much for the people that support us and allow us to keep bringing people on like Clarence, because this stuff takes time out of his day. He could be doing a whole bunch of other things. Clarence, thank you so much, my brother.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad to be here. And it is tax time, so I do got to say, hey, if you need to get your taxes done, I can help you with that. Just get in contact with us.
I didn't know you was doing that. I know you would getting. I know last year you were doing so much of it, and doing this. I don't know how you do it. How you do it?
Well, I got other team members.
Oh, that's right. That team now.
Yeah, got other team members. So my
Just
condo will
me.
only let me rent out for a year lease or more. Only do nurses in MPLS look for a year. I'm not
Oh,
sure if I.
Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. Okay. My condo will only let me rent out for a year lease, and they will only allow me to do nurses in there.
In
Okay.
Minneapolis. Look for a year. Okay, that works with me.
Well,
Does that not work with you?
it depends. I think this goes into what's the cost benefit analysis. So, what are you going to have to spend to furnish? What are your upfront costs, including furnishing, versus what's the ultimate cash flow that you are going to generate? And then you need to see if this is going to be a good return on investment. So that's another thing that you got to consider is return on investment. And that's why it's critical to run the numbers, analyze, get a good idea of, hey, what is this property going to bring in terms of rental revenue versus what I got to pay out in expenses. That gives me what my cash flow is going to be. And then I can take that cash flow, compare it to what I had to put up to see what my return on investment is. And everybody has their own required return on investment. So you got to think about that as well and to see whether that's a good decision. Myself personally, if I can only be have a 1-year contract, I may not recoup everything that I put in the way that I want to. So to make me more comfortable, I would probably require, if I can't get a longer term, then I want to pay less in guaranteed payments to the property owner, or it's probably not going to be worth my time.
Well, Clarence, here's the thing: being an entrepreneur, what
Mm-hmm.
business do you get 100% of your money back in? I'm just trying to. I've done a lot of businesses. I mean, I've flipped cars, all this stuff. And say I put up 20 grand for a car. That car is not going to make me 20 grand. I can't make 20 grand on. We're talking about one, dude. You're getting all your not everybody, but let's say you put up 10 grand, you could at least
Yep.
do $1,000 a month. And I mean, can't you get your money back in a year in this thing?
You can. You
And to
can.
me, that's unheard of. Say if I'm buying a rental property, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen. There's no way you're gonna get your money back in a year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you can earn that type of cash flow. And the other thing we'll talk about this too is how involved in the business do you want to be? And generally, this is what I'm going to say. You can make the most money the more involved you are in the business. But some folks prefer more passive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be more passive, then you have to be willing to have other people and other systems in place. So you may not make the most money per unit, but you have the least amount of time involved, which means you can scale quicker and it's not all about you. But we'll talk about everybody got different preferences.
You can cover them all.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Everybody's
as much
different.
as
Yeah.
we can. Absolutely.
I want the passive. I don't care about. I mean, I don't mind making less money as long as I do nothing. Like we know everybody has different stages. If you're starting out, you want to do everything so you can maximize your return. As you
Yes, sir.
get, up to the sunset, you want looking at, look, I need to do other things, and that can work for me. I can do more of them, but I don't make as much money. But everybody's different.
Yep, everybody's different. And the other great thing, and we didn't touch on this too, the other great thing, well, we kind of indirectly talked about it, collaborations. You may not have all the money to start, partner with somebody else, pool your resources together, work together in tandem.
That
So
stuff works,
it's a
man.
lot of ways to do this
That
business.
works. So the 2-day virtual workshop, y'all, we're going over all short-term rental stuff, right? It's going to be next Thursday and Friday. If you miss it, the training obviously will offer it. You can still download it later, but you can get the recordings also, just in case you can't make it that day. Clarence will be teaching for 3 hours a day, going over his whole system. So that way you can get out and deploy it yourself, whether you own a piece of real estate. Because a lot of people think, well, I don't have the money to go buy a house, but at least I could get I could go out there and rent a property, and then I'd be the go-between between the short-term rental guests and the leaseholder. Yeah, that's sharp, man. This sharp stuff.
Yeah.
What are the questions we got? We got a bunch of questions here. Is there a possibility? Is there a possibility to raise capital and get started that way? Jamar wants to know, Clarence.
I would say the answer is yes, but that's going to require, in my opinion, having your numbers, building your network of other lenders, investors that believe in what you're going to do. And part of the belief is going to come from a track record and showing what your financials are. So,
Just Me says, I own a condo, hired someone to manage it. However, they couldn't get me a rental agreement. Oh, I don't know what that one. Got to have a rental agreement, right, Karen? You can't just go in there.
Absolutely. So that might be, hey, let's talk to the attorney and get them to draft up an agreement for us.
Hey, man, nice picture here, Maya. My condo only lets me rent it out for a year.
Well, you can live in that condo and just go to a non-condo type of situation. Go to another property owner that isn't in a condo or a homeowner association where you can do what you want to do.
In the same building, perhaps?
Probably not in the same building. You're going to have to drive down the street somewhere else. But if you remember, Chris, even I think you mentioned one time there was a condo. And you asked me would I want to operate out of that. And I said, just with all the restrictions that generally can happen with some condos, I wasn't that interested in it. So,
yeah, well, this just comes with the price of doing business with condos. So, that's right. We had that one in Virginia Beach I was looking to do. I forgot about that one.
Right.
Wasn't clear. Jamar, the link's in the video description, my brother. You might have to refresh your screen there, but the 2-day virtual travel nurse Airbnb short-term rental workshop, the link is in the video description. Get signed up early. Super early registration is open right now. Just me. Question, is there a market for nurses in the Minneapolis area for a year lease? That was the question. Okay.
Oh, so because I don't know that market, I don't want to give you any misinformation. But what I would look to see what type of medical health facilities are in that area, and if there's a lot of those type of facilities, then it's probably a good opportunity that you got some folks.
Minneapolis got huge hospitals, Clarence. They got huge hospitals up there. I lived there for 3 years.
Oh, okay. Then I would assume it should be, and so.
Listen, good question. She wants to know, is this passive income but I would be just starting out.
I was thinking passive, but I would just be starting out.
Oh, she's thinking about
So
passive. Okay.
yeah. So if you want to be more passive, either you could partner up with someone who wants to be more active in the business. And so that would be a good collaboration
There
between
you
you.
go. Good point. Good point. The real JC, what are a few ideas for marketing to nurses and contractors specifically? He wants to know, give them some
Specifically.
specifics.
Right. Well, for example, there are booking channels that are catered towards like the medical professionals. So if you're going to get in the business, you might want to invest in getting some listings on those type of booking channels. Also, networking. I'm a avid believer in networking. So you want to network with folks that are close to those specific industries and let them know what you got going on. And I think that's another way
You
to
can
kind
just
of get the word out. So for myself, not only do I get referrals from different booking channels, but because I actively network and I have referral partners, I get referrals from other individuals. So I get a lot of word of mouth out there as well.
sweet. Yeah.
And
Like,
then
go
and
ahead.
then even yourself, Chris, I know you are very experienced in leveraging the internet, YouTube, and things like that. I mean, I'm sure you could share some nuggets on how they can even utilize that platform to kind of get out what they're doing.
Man, I can't speak enough, Clarence. You know, I'm on you all the time.
Yes,
All
sir.
the time. Try to get the word. I mean, it's like when you think of real estate, boom, you want to be right there. If I think of short-term rentals, boom, I want to be, I'm not the master like you, but you're the first person that comes to mind. I know if I got a short-term issue, I mean, who else would I, it's like, boom, you're top of mind.
Yes, sir.
Frank Evans says, is it best to do Airbnb in your town or can you do it in another state too, Clarence?
Yeah, I know folks that do it in other states. I think it requires a little bit of time investment into building some relationships and getting some infrastructure in another state. But
Boots on the
once
ground.
you get that team, that support in another state, yeah, go for it.
Okay. So a lot of people, Clarence, will you be able to, because I know from the questions that I've received, how do we go about like just talking to a landlord? I know some people are like, I can't talk to him. What do you mean? What would I even say? Can you give them something that's gonna be able to break the ice and so they know how to approach these people? Because you approached us and it's pretty laid back.
Right. Yeah. So we'll, as a part of the workshop, what we'll also do, I have some scripts that I'll provide in the workshop. We'll do some role playing as well. Uh,
Sweet.
yeah. We'll do some role playing, and essentially with whomever you're going to talk. And this is just general business. Whomever you're talking to, you got to understand what are their motivations, what are their pain points, and how do you solve their problem.
Pain
And
points.
so just it's no different in this business. Keep that in mind.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear that. So scripts, that is so cool. I think because some people are like, I don't know what to say to them. I know landlords. Well, for me, I'm just thinking about the money. Like, can you pay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be able to pay? Are you gonna willing to put up some security? Who's gonna deal with this stuff? So I'm figuring you could layer up all the
Right,
benefits
absolutely.
for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even we talked about, hey, as hosts, we have a built-in incentive to keep your property in a pristine condition. That's one point you can hone in on.
Hmm.
Because some property owners like, hey, you know what? Even if I just make a little bit of money on this, but I want my property in a great condition,
Hmm.
and I want someone to care about my property. You meet one of those property owners, then hey, now you got a different type of strategy of how you can approach them.
Well, I'm in my mind. I'm thinking about all the homies and landlords that I know since 2004. Clarence, I don't know about you. Let me ask you. I know people that buy real estate to make $100 a month. They're like, I just want to make $100 a month because I was that
Absolutely.
guy. That's what I was back in '05. I'm like, man, if I do $100 a month, I get 10. I got 1,000 a month. I'm like, my mind was. But I'm
Right.
just saying that I'm asking you, like landlords aren't looking when they're buying these houses. Do they even understand the concept of making thousands of dollars every month on top of their mortgage payment?
Generally, they don't. And if they did, they might already be in the business.
They're doing it already.
Right. Or you got some folks who are very aware, but again, they want to be very passive.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes to my other point. Again, if you're going to be in this business and you want to make the most money, yes, it's you're going to have to be active to a certain degree.
Oh, cool. So, Clarence, will you be able to help them with it, getting cleaning people, or how do they pick them, and how do they look for the right person? Because I know cleaning is just like paramount when it comes to short-term rentals.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk about different strategies on how to find cleaners, some of the things you should expect from them. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
Cool. All right. Another question. Somebody wants to renovate my property with equity and use it as a short-term rental. Good, but I have to rent an apartment. That doesn't make sense, right? Okay, so she's gonna use her house or his house and
Okay.
then rent an apartment. Wow, that's pretty cool. Is that something that I don't even never thought about that? You rent out your house and then you go get an apartment.
It could make. I think it can make sense, especially if you rent out your house. You make more money on your house, and then the apartment that you live in is less than what you were paying for your house. So I think it could make total
Yeah,
sense.
that is true. That's something right there. All right. Anything else you want to add, Clarence? That's some good stuff right here, man.
Oh, appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. Yep, just me. You are welcome. Clarence is the master. I'm telling you, this dude is the master when it comes to short-term rentals. Whenever I got an issue, I mean, he's on speed dial. Well, I can't get him on the phone. I got to send him a text. I can get him then, but he's so busy.
No, I'm just glad. First, thank you, Chris, for putting this on, and I thank everybody who joined us tonight and everybody who's going to come to the workshop. I'm just really excited to be able to share some information and some wisdom of my experience being in a short-term rental game, and hopefully you can see some benefits and get started.
Yeah. So the super early bird registration is open right now. The workshop is next Thursday, February 9th and 10th. 3-hour days. You're gonna be hanging out with Clarence and myself all day. He's gonna be doing most of the teaching. I'll be there hosting it and chiming in, but I follow this guy's lead when it comes to the people getting it all cleaned. We have short-term rentals together, y'all. This stuff works. This stuff works. So don't think about it. Right now, if you get in super early bird special, it's not even going to cost you a tank of gas. Not even that, right? You know how we do. I won't let you down. But we like to reward winners, reward people that take action. So if you do that right now, you will be rewarded. And you're going to get a workbook and you can follow along, all that stuff and the scripts. And then you have like a Excel thing where you plug in numbers and
Yeah,
stuff.
got a profit analyzer.
Profit analyzer. So many benefits to doing this short-term rental thing, guys. And as we all know, the market is volatile, and every day the interest rate. When interest rates just went up yesterday, Clarence.
Oh wow, not
Yeah, another
surprising.
25.25%. So you don't know what's going on, but people have to have a place to stay, and they're going to be traveling. Come this, I mean, obviously it's a little slow now, but man, summertime. Clarence, just on a ballpark average. Let's go to the summer months. Those I presume in summer months are the
Ooh,
hotter months of when you get more people traveling.
absolutely. So the colder the months, the least amount of revenue you can expect, or inversely, the warmer the months, the more revenue you can expect to make. So I definitely love when the months start to get warmer because cash flow just gets bigger.
That is so crazy to me. I'm telling you, $100 a month. I was thinking, so just a net profit on a building, Clarence. Nets after all expenses are paid on a property that you're leasing. What can one expect? And I'm not saying it has to be down to the dollar, but just a ballpark.
I usually the deals I look for, I usually want to at least cash flow about $1,000
$1,000.
a month.
You're saying it candidly, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm going back to that landlord that spent 100,000, did all that stuff, put down payment down, all that to make $100 to $200 a month, and you're doing this without even owning the property, making 1,000. I mean, it's just, and you can have the possibility of making upwards. I've seen it way more than 1,000 a month.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
Especially in the summertime, way more than
especially in the
1,000 a month.
summertime.
So in my opinion, it's just limitless. This is limitless.
Yes, sir.
All right, roundup. It is an honor to hang out with you tonight. So I look forward to seeing you next Thursday. It's going to be 11 o'clock, February 9th and 10th. The links in the video description below. Super Early Bird special will be ending tomorrow. For all my homies to get joined up right now, thank you so much. All right, Clarence, that's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. It was a
Yep.
pleasure.
So y'all round up, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and share with anybody else that needs to understand how this short-term rental thing works. This is the new real estate. This is the new game, y'all. Buying houses is cool. Obviously, it's good to own it, but you don't have to. All right? Clarence and I living proof. See you soon. See you at the workshop, guys. Peace.